This is what helped me to heal from chronic skin picking. This kind of work is the whole reason why I am so confident and secure in myself, why I feel so at home in myself. And of course, I still have space to grow. I still have self-doubt. I still feel down. I still don't feel good enough at times, but I don't get lost in that anymore. Doesn't mean I don't have rough patches, but I do trust myself and I believe like I'm going to get through this and I'm going to be okay and things are going to get better. And even if I'm not doing my best right now, even if I'm at my worst, even if I am not showing up the way I would like to be, I still love me and I appreciate me, and I'm going to treat myself as a person worthy of kindness. This is what makes the biggest difference. This is what helped me to heal from chronic skin picking. If we want to learn to love ourselves on a deeper level, if we want to have more kindness for ourselves, if we want to be more forgiving, if we don't want to have such a loud inner critic, we need to change how we perceive the ego. Because the common narrative around the ego is that it's the enemy. It's not something good. It's a negative thing. And we all have an ego. And the problem with this is that means that we have this fundamental part of us that is wrong, that is bad. And that's one of the biggest things we struggle with, is the fact that we feel like on a core level that I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. There's something wrong with me. And then we all know we have an ego. We can't get rid of the ego. We all have it on some level. And then so many people have this belief, and it's so widely accepted that the ego is bad, that it's a negative thing. And this only contributes to that feeling of there's something wrong with me. There's something, I need to fix myself. And that just makes us feel like we're constantly behind, like we're constantly not there yet, like we still have to work and try harder and do more to be okay. So in this episode, I want to explore the ego with you, and I want to present to you a new and more inspiring and more fulfilling perspective on the ego and yourself. And just to support what I am sharing here, I want to just read out, I typed in, just before I started recording this, I typed in quotes on the ego just to see if what I'm saying is correct. And honestly, the quotes that come up, it really, you'll see what I mean. Here are the quotes. When the ego dies, the soul awakens. Ego has no place in a peaceful mind. My opponent is my leader. My ego is my enemy. And this one really sums it up. Ego is probably one of the biggest poisons we can have. It's toxic to any environment. And when we are talking about the ego, we are talking about ourselves. We are saying, there is a part of me that is one of the biggest poisons we can have. It is toxic to any environment because the ego exists inside of us. This is how we're talking about ourselves. Man, when a part of me dies, my soul awakens. My opponent is my teacher, and a part of me is my enemy. So when we replace the ego with a part of me, it really changes the feel of those quotes. Because the thing is, I understand where the quotes are coming from, as I'm sure you do too. I understand the point they're trying to make. In fact, the first quote I mentioned there was one from Gandhi. I'm not saying they're 100% wrong. I'm just saying that I believe that they are more detrimental than helpful. And here's why. The ego is simply your wounded inner child. Just let that sink in and think about how we are speaking about a child right now. Because when we speak of the ego as an enemy and a poison and something to be gotten rid of and something bad, we're talking about a child. We're talking about you, the little child version of you that is scared and lost and alone and is afraid. Because what does the ego do? It protects us. If someone is being arrogant and doesn't want to listen to the advice or the opinions of other people, yeah, that person's annoying. You can say, man, they have a massive ego. But that person also, they have a massive ego because they have a massive wound there. They possibly have a wound of inadequacy, of not being good enough, of a big fear of being wrong, of making a mistake because they probably experienced in their life when they aren't perfect, When they make a mistake, when they get something wrong, they were probably shamed for it. They were put down, they were rejected, they were teased, they were bullied, either by kids at school or even their family. People who think they're better than everyone else. They don't actually think they're better than everyone else. Deep down, they think they are less than everyone else. But the ego is protecting them from that pain. Wherever you feel like your ego gets in the way, it's because there is something there. There is something painful there, a painful emotional memory that maybe you can recall quite easily, or maybe you can't quite put your finger on it. The ego is there for protection because we all have a wounded inner child that is trying to prevent us from being hurt again like they were. And so whenever your ego shows up, it's because that little child version of you is afraid of feeling the way he or she did in the past. And so when you think about it that way, is it fair to call your ego a poison, to call even any part of yourself a poison? That none of you is a poison. None of you is an enemy. No part of you is bad. Even the parts of you that are a bit dysfunctional or can be destructive, they aren't bad. You're just functioning the way you were taught to function. I had a big ego around telling myself I didn't need anyone. I'm cool, I'm easy, I'm chill. I don't need people. And I said that because for me, connection was really scary because I had been hurt deeply in connection with other people, as many of us have. My ego used to tell me that I needed to be the best and better than everyone else. And if I wasn't better than everyone else, then I wasn't good enough. And that's only because I only got positive reinforcement if I did something really good. If I wasn't overachieving, then I wasn't noticed. But if I made a mistake, I got a lot of attention for that, like so many of us did. Your ego is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Your ego is not a poison. It is the antidote. If we have the courage to turn towards our ego and learn to love that part of us, because you just see the way that people talk about the ego, we don't like those parts of ourselves because we were taught that they aren't good, that they are bad. And we talk about it unknowingly with so much disdain and negativity. But if we can turn towards those parts of ourselves and learn to love them and embrace them, to understand them where they're coming from, to appreciate the way that they have been protecting us and helping us in their very childish way. The ego is very childish because it comes from our childhood. It comes from a state when we were childish. If we can have the courage to turn towards those parts of ourselves and embrace them and love them, that is when our ego starts to be soothed. Our ego doesn't then feel the need to control and manage and react, because finally that part of us that hasn't felt seen or heard or understood for a very, very, very long time, we are able to give that to ourselves. And then we start to feel more at home in ourselves. Instead of feeling like I need to fight with myself, I need to fight my ego, I need to push it down, I need to suppress it, I need to get rid of it, I get to embrace it, accept all parts of myself. Your ego isn't bad. No parts of you are wrong or bad. And this is actually a big part of the work that I've done on myself and the work that I do with my clients, is just that process of meeting that resistance, feeling that resistance to parts of ourselves that we feel like they're not good enough, that we're not happy with, that we think need to be gotten rid of or changed for us to be okay, and learning to just slow down and understand where it's coming from. If you think of, I need to learn to love every part of me, and you cringe at certain aspects, or you get annoyed or irritated or frustrated and think like, oh, I don't want to do that with that part of me, that's a part of you that needs the most love right now. Trust me. This kind of work is the whole reason why I am so confident and secure in myself, why I feel so at home in myself. And of course, I still have space to grow. I still have self-doubt. I still feel down. I still don't feel good enough at times. But I don't get lost in that anymore. Doesn't mean I don't have rough patches, but I do trust myself and I believe like I'm going to get through this and I'm going to be okay and things are going to get better. And even if I'm not doing my best right now, even if I'm at my worst, even if I am not showing up the way I would like to be, I still love me and I appreciate me and I'm going to treat myself as a person worthy of kindness. This is what makes the biggest difference. This is what helped me to heal from chronic skin picking. If there's one thing we learn, it's that willpower doesn't work. And I've known for myself that whenever I used willpower alone to try and make myself stop, it always ended in the worst relapses. And I felt so horrible about myself. And it's this painful cycle that led me to uncover a new way forward that was inspiring and motivating. And I could actually start to see genuine results. I actually started to move forward. I got to release the shame. I got to grow. I got to see that I wasn't stuck. And it's brought me to a place now where I don't struggle with chronic skin picking anymore. And I never thought I would get to this place. And there's 3 core skills that help us on this journey, that will help you on your journey to get to that place as well. And I share them with you in my 7-day skin picking recovery challenge. If you want to learn more about this challenge and get access to it, just go ahead and click on the link in the show notes. There is nothing like this program out there right now that really just cuts through the noise, cuts through the fluff, and gets straight to the core of what we truly need to heal from chronic skin picking or any kind of BFRB. And if that's calling to you, you'll find the link in the show notes. Click on that and come join us in the challenge. I'd love to see you there. This is what has helped me to become more consistent, to become more outspoken, to stand up for myself, to be more of who I am, to wear my heart on my sleeve and connect really deeply with some incredible people, to make deeper, closer friendships. It is so much more effective than thinking I need to fight against myself to have what I want, to be okay in my life. We don't need to fight anymore. It's a turning inwards and learning to accept all parts of you. And that is really challenging, honestly. And I think more people lean towards the fighting aspect because that, although it's not fun, it's still easier than turning towards those parts of ourselves that we really don't like and trying and learning to find understanding and compassion. Like that hurts. That really hurts. That's uncomfortable, man. And just for example, this is actually very recent for me, and a place where I've noticed my ego come up, and it's quite subtle, is how I look back on past versions of myself. And I used to look back on myself in my early 20s, kind of from a bit of an arrogant standpoint, an egotistical standing point of seeing, wow, I was so unaware. I was not as happy as I thought I was. I was so stuck and trapped and I had no idea. But now I can see all that now and I know so much more than I did then and I'm so much more wise. And this way of kind of looking down on that past version of me, like you thought you were happy then, you weren't happy. You had no idea. And I didn't realize how much my ego was actually fueling that perspective until very recently. When I decided to read through my first diary that I started when I was 19. It was actually, my first diary was a gift from my best friend. So she actually inspired me to start journaling, and I have many, many journals now, but I decided to read back on my first journal. And I honestly feel a bit emotional talking about this because I'm so proud of that version of me. We've come a long way. A long, long way. And I just realized how incredibly insightful and thoughtful and creative and funny and quirky that version of me was, and how honestly, truly happy I was back then. Because yes, of course, I look back and I was not as aware as I am now, but I had still grown significantly and I had achieved a lot of things that I'd been dreaming of to have for a long time. And I truly was happy then because I didn't know I didn't know what more there was. I knew there would be more, but I didn't know what more. I just knew that that was the happiest and most free I'd ever been in my life, which it's also sad to look back and see that, but I'm also very grateful that I had that experience and that I gave myself that experience through taking risks, through pushing myself to do things that I was terrified of. And I actually wrote in that diary, this is when, because I really was devoid of confidence most of my life, but around I think 20 years old, I wrote in my diary, confidence is a superpower. And I remember the day I have in my mind the memory of the moment when I felt that, when I actually felt the first taste of true confidence, of just being myself. And it was just the most glorious feeling, is all I can describe. As someone who spent most of their life devoid of confidence and feeling no self-esteem, having that first taste of confidence, real confidence, not bravado, not ego, but truly inside myself feeling okay with me and feeling like I'm liked and I'm wanted and I can just be myself. I wrote in my diary that confidence is a superpower, and it truly is. It allows you to access so much more of yourself in life. It's like life went from being black and white to vibrant in color. And I've never really read back on my early diaries. And it made me realize how wrong I was to perceive that version of me, to look down on that version of me, to judge that version of me and think, you weren't happy. I see how trapped you were. I mean, that was arrogance. The way I was seeing myself, that was my ego talking. And my ego was talking because this has been something I've been working through for a lot of my life, and something that honestly I think every human needs to work this thing. I think it's a rite of passage as a human, but to truly appreciate myself and love myself at every level, every version of me. And my ego was judging that past version of me because honestly, that's what I do to myself pretty heavily. I judge myself pretty heavily, like, you're not there yet, you're not doing enough, you got to do more, you got to try harder. And if I let myself look back on those past versions of me and see like, wow, I was actually doing really well, I'm really proud of myself, that would contradict that belief that I'm not doing enough, that I need to try harder, that I'm not there yet, because there's that deeper feeling inside of me that says, you're not good enough. And to be good enough, you need to overperform and overachieve, because that's what I learned. You won't be seen or heard or appreciated unless you are doing something above average. Just you as you are, in your averageness, in your day-to-day-ness of you, that's not enough. Doing things well or okay, that's not enough. You need to be doing things exceptional, above average, incredible, and you're not there yet. Got to keep trying harder. And this is something that my ego was protecting me from. My ego was trying to protect me from the pain of not being good enough. And of course, it's a bit contradictory because then it just makes me feel worse about myself. But again, our ego is a child version of us. It's very childish. It has a childish perspective and way of thinking. It has a childish way of finding solutions. And so when I read that, it just kind of shattered that illusion that I built for myself that you're not there yet, because I was there. When I was 19, 20, writing in that diary, I was there. I had achieved the things that I wanted to achieve, and I recognized that I wanted to go further, but I was already so much further forward and so much happier with myself than I ever had been. It's enough. It was enough for me then. I was enough then. I was doing enough then. And the same goes for you right now and me right now. We are enough now. We are doing enough now. And our ego, our wounded inner child, is going to feel afraid at that thought, because they're afraid that if you stop trying so hard, you're going to feel the pain. You're going to feel the real pain of not being enough, because then people, they aren't going to like you as much. They're not going to appreciate you. They're going to see that when you stop trying so hard, that you're actually not that great. And Logically, we know that's not true, but children do not have logic. Children are highly emotional. Children don't develop logic till about 8 years old. You can't logic a child. That's why if they drop their ice cream, you can't just say, oh, we'll just get a new one. They're having a full-blown meltdown. Logic doesn't work there. Now, if I viewed my ego as the enemy, I wouldn't be as curious or open-minded to understand, where is that coming from? Why am I feeling that way? I wouldn't be open to potentially embracing that part of me, that resistance that I feel. I wouldn't get curious when I judge myself, and I wouldn't catch myself and think, is it fair to judge myself right now? Is that okay? I would never question it. Looking back on the past versions of me, I wouldn't question if I deserve to be judged or not. I would just judge because I would think, well, yeah, that's what the ego does. It judges because it's childish. It's a hurt, scared, wounded little child, and they are going to do whatever they can to make themselves feel safe. But because I have been developing over the past few years to learn to love every aspect of myself, especially the parts of myself that I cringe at, it's allowed me to have moments where I think, wow, I'm actually okay. I actually am enough. I'm doing enough to feel that warmth of gratitude and appreciation for myself. And in turn, I feel that more for other people. And because I feel it more for other people, I have much deeper connections with the people in my life because I feel more. In my early 20s, that's why I got that taste of confidence, because I started to feel again. And the more we feel, the more we get out of life. The more we feel without fear, because a lot of us are afraid of our emotions. We're afraid we're going to get lost in them, or they're going to get too much or too big, or they're too uncomfortable. If we're fighting our ego constantly, if we feel like we constantly have to fight against a part of ourselves, we're just going to keep coming up against a wall. We're going to keep meeting resistance and thinking, what the hell do I do now? I'm still not there yet. I still haven't done enough. I still got to fight harder and try harder. When what if actually you don't have to? What if we can soften and slow down and learn to love that resistance instead of judge it and hate it so much and call it bad and poisonous? No part of you is a poison or bad. Every part of you deserves to be understood and loved, even the parts that are kind of annoying. Because yeah, I get annoyed at myself. There's some things that I do, I'm like, man, that's so annoying. I don't need to hate myself about it though. You don't need to hate yourself. We're not perfect. We are going to be annoying. People are annoying. It's just, when we were annoying as kids, we were probably taught that we were a burden or not okay or not good. But kids are just annoying. People are annoying. I am annoying sometimes. Often. And it's just embracing that fact. And not in that sense of, you just need to accept me as I am, and all of our unhealthy, toxic behaviors, we just suddenly stop trying to change and stop trying to grow and stop trying to be a more grounded, healthy person. That's not what I'm trying to say. But stop judging yourself for every little single mistake or moment where you're not perfect or above average. A little exercise I used to do to help myself with that. This is one that I've done that has helped me to really appreciate how much I've already done. And that is simply give yourself some time to reflect and see, where am I different from who I used to be at the start of the year? Where have I grown? What have I achieved within myself? What have I done that I'm proud of? What have I learned? Where have I grown? Where have I expanded? And there's a chance that as you think of this, as I ask you these questions, as you write things down, that there's going to be a part of you that says, yeah, but you didn't grow in this area. Yeah, but that's not actually that great. And again, that's just your ego coming in, trying to hold you back from being okay with yourself, because there were times in your life where you have been okay with yourself and you got shut down. You've had moments where just being who you are and being okay with who you are was not okay. And so that little scared part of you is going to come up and try and be like, hey, don't do that. That's risky. That's scary. Remember what happened last time? So do this little practice of reflection. And on a smaller scale, you can do that with your day. At the end of the day, instead of writing a to-do list, write a done list. All the things you've done that day. And I mean all the things, like made the bed, brushed my teeth, did my hair, I had a good breakfast, and all the extra things that you did, literally everything that you've done. Because a lot of us have a feeling when we get to the end of the day, like, oh man, I haven't done anything today. I haven't done enough. There's still so much to do. When actually you've probably done a lot. This is something that really helped me to accept that I'm doing enough. And I actually have really unrealistic expectations of myself sometimes, and maybe I need to settle down. That really helped me with that. Moral of the story is, learn to love your ego, because it is a part of yourself that is craving to be seen and heard, to be understood, to be loved deeply. And you so deserve that. And that is truly the path to really feeling okay with yourself and where you're at in life. Instead of feeling like you constantly are behind or constantly having to catch up or get things done or try harder or do more. That is the path. And if this episode resonated with you, if this really had a powerful perspective shift for you, if it opened your mind, if it allowed you to access more compassion for yourself, please do leave a 5-star review or leave a comment on this episode if you're on Spotify, or a written review on any other platform. It's a way to support this podcast and what I'm doing, and to help me to continue to put out episodes every single week, because your reviews, whether they are 5-star or a written review, they help to push this podcast out to more people. And I super appreciate your support. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending this time with me and listening to me talk. I love these moments and I love recording these for you. And I look forward to seeing you next week for the next episode of Untapped Confidence.